Before we get into today's episode, viewer discretion is advised. This is an epilepsy warning as flashing lights and strobing images do appear in this video. Thank you.
That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast.
Hello, Wasteland! Yes, welcome back, brothers! That's right, we are here to look at Gaslands UK's Car of the Month competition for July 2023. That's right, I am your host, James Hall of JH Miniatures, and this month has been kindly sponsored and brought to you by Nick Iyer over at North Star Military Figures. So, before we get too far into this video, can we all just take a moment to say a massive thank you to Nick Iyer and North Star Military Figures for continuing to sponsor and provide the prizes and the themes for this wonderful community and competition of ours. You know, these guys, they're a bedrock. They are a pillar of this game. What can I say? Their plastic sprues, their implements of carnage, these were their first. These were the trailblazers. These guys brought out metal models, the likes of which we haven't seen since the dark future days of old, my brothers. Oh yeah, since the 1980s and the 90s, we haven't seen such things like North Star gives us. So, as always, a massive thank you to Nick Iyer and North Star Military Figures. And can we all just take a moment to check out the brand new North Star Military Figures TikTok channel? Oh yes, I bet you weren't expecting that from today's video. What can I say? I am an absolute sucker for behind the scenes when it comes to how models are made. I love it. I love seeing the boiling hot metal going into the spin casts to make the beautiful little figures that we all know and love, including the metal highway patrol drivers, which are just some of the goodies that could be won this month. So, as always, check out the website in the description box down below. If you're feeling generous and you got nothing to do while on the john or in bed late at night, check out the TikTok channel. And as always, thank you once again, Nick Iyer, for sponsoring this competition. So, with a sponsor like this, you know that the prizes were going to be world class. Oh yes, we are talking the Admin's Choice and Implements of Carnage original set number 1, along with the Highway Patrol Drivers metal miniatures. And in second place, the Sponsor's Choice being given the Implements of Carnage set 2, along with a set again of the metal miniature Highway Patrol Drivers. Oh yes, big money value, boys. Say it with me now. Big money value. Oh, yes, an absolute bank heist of sponsor support this month. I love it. Absolutely love it. And with prizes like these, you know that the theme had to be good this year. We had to go back in the past, go back to the time before James did videos. Oh yes, when this competition was still in its infancy. That's right, for the first time ever we have done a 5-year then and now. That's right, back in July of 2019, before the virus that shall not be named took over the world, before a lot of the madness that we enjoy today really sunk its teeth in. That's right, back in 2019 they had a police interceptor theme month, and a absolute staggering 12 people managed to enter and finish that month. Oh yes, but we can actually compare the past and the present. That's right, we can look at the work from 5 years ago and we can say, well, if they had flashing lights back then, your builds have to have flashing lights. Oh yes, that's right, my friends, because if you can't beat a build from 5 years ago, before 3D printers, before we had the abundance of extra conversion third-party bits to add onto your builds, before, when you had to use the stock Hot Wheels, you had to find the one guy that was manufacturing them, which at the time was Cancel Designs, might I add. This is the thing. With the technology we have now, with the advancements we have now, we had high expectations for you this month, my brothers. And what can I say? You have not disappointed. So, these guys need no introduction. You guys know what the theme was. So let's take a moment to enjoy the 36 finished entrants that we've had this month. That's right, 3 times the amount that we had 5 years ago. And I'm kind of proud of that because I like to think I've had a little bit of an impact on that myself. Oh, yes. So, from the top, we have had Adam Pollard. I'm going to get these names wrong. I'm going to mess them up. Alfonso Naves Munguia. Alfonso. Bart Van Shake. Clint Agius. Daniel Mumford. David Traves. David Bousset. David Goch. Dom Williams. Gary Golding. Hardo Pius. Ingvar Nibson. Jody Sims. John Martin. John Simpson Wedge. Keith McAvoy. Kev Williams. Manolo Vega. Matt Morrill, Matt Whittam, Matt Shea Metrag. That's right, my friend. He's back. He's back in the competition. Mike Kilgore, which, if the name sounds familiar, you might remember him from our past as that ex-convict Kilgore MJ. That's right. Welcome back, my brother. Nava Fishman Shari, Nick Kitch, Pierre-Louis Princept 1, Richard Hubbard, Scott Howland, Steve Chan, Steve House, Thomas Till, Tony Peacock, oh yes, returning, and I hope with a purple build, Travis Bedwell, Travis Usner, William Berg, and of course your friend and mine, William Elliott. So let us start this month off strong, my brothers, by looking at Matt Morrill's entry for this month. Oh yes. So what can I say? This is a quintessential, a classic take on a highway patrol interceptor, isn't it? My goodness. It's that lovely, big, beefy American muscle car, raised profile, big, thick, chunky off-road tyres, which, again, it always pains me because those are some basic tyres in the front, but we'll let them slide. But what a wonderful conversion with the spoiler slash prison capture cage in the back. I think that's great. So there's a real sense that as he's going around, he's not just stopping the bad guys, he's taking them back to base with him. Oh yes. And this is the thing, Matt. Your builds are always 10 out of 10 for theme. I love all the little fiddly bits, like the little radar antenna using those absolutely microscopic springs. Like I use springs from cigarette lighters. I can't imagine how tiny those, what they must be from. Maybe from some sort of syringe or EpiPen or something. Absolutely fantastic for the conversion, but like the donuts on the dash, mate. But where your work always breaks my heart has to be in the fine line work. It's in the fine detailing, and it's just little things. I know that you use craft store paints to paint your models, which is fine, but I know you can get that sort of chalky, kind of washed out feeling when using craft store paints. And one of the best ways to alleviate that is if you mix up some black with some water and make a black sort of pin wash. You go around those door panels where they connect to the body. You go around the body panels. You go around the connection points between weapons and the body, or the siren light, or around the front bumper and the grille. You separate out the actual bars of the grille. Mate, it would just elevate this so much. Because without that, you're kind of relying on the casting of the model. And we've all seen these castings. Sometimes the detail's there, sometimes it's missing, sometimes it's blown out and it's covered over, and what should be a panel line is instead just one gigantic flat surface. It's about putting that detail back in and helping the model. Because, mate, your builds are absolutely top notch, but it is just the painting. It's that last 100 yards to the finishing line, and it's just helping you to elevate it past that. Absolutely fantastic stuff, Matt. My goodness. I love it. I always love looking at your work, my friends. And I can't wait to see what you come up with for the rest of this year. Oh, yes. And then after Mads, we have brand new to the competition, my brothers. Oh, yes, but we're not going to hold that against him. That's right, we're talking about Gary Golding's entry. Oh, yes, Gary, my friend, buddy, pal, look at this. Look at this war machine. My goodness, that's a full-on military arsenal on this vehicle, isn't it? My goodness, what a rock solid build. That's a real sleek kind of airplane like frame it's got, isn't it? And I like the separation between what look like sort of jet engines to carry it forwards and rockets on the side that are clearly for, taking out opposition drivers, which is especially helped by these wonderful little parachutes that you didn't have to make, but that's a lovely little addition that you've put on there. And with the striping, it's all in theme with that highway patrol police interceptor motif. The damage to the front windscreens, mate, I love this. I absolutely love seeing stuff like this. It's something that we all miss out so often, and it is so nice to see because more often than not we just go, yeah, front windscreen, flat, it's bulletproof glass, slap that on, and you're done. But no, it is so good to see some actual damage there. I think where this is sort of falling a little bit apart for me is you've got some areas where you've got paint on the windscreen itself, like that, just tiny little bit by the gun there. You can scrape that off. Likewise, when it comes to the dusting around the wheels, there just really isn't much. I mean, it looks like you've straight up just glued some sand to it, which is always a welcome addition. Getting some of that texture, getting some of that material, but you can't just glue sand. You have to do something more with it. You have to paint it. You have to dry brush it. You have to add a wash. You have to do something, because otherwise it looks like you've left your toy outside and on the ground. I love some of the metal work you've got on that engine there, and a lot of this is done. You can't just buy this off a shelf. You've had to scratch build this. All the piping, all of the extra little fiddly bits, mate. You're gonna have a blast in this competition. Oh yes. So fantastic stuff, Gary. And as always, welcome to the party, my friends. That's it, you're here for life now. You got a life sentence in the Wasteland, and I cannot wait to see what else you have in store for us. And then after Gary, we have also brand new to this competition. And again, I apologise so much for mispronouncing your name, but you got to help me out here. So, Alfonso Naves Munguia's entry. Oh, yes, Alfonso, my boy. What a solid entry. Look at this. Now, I'll say this, you do some amazing, absolutely amazing original source lighting effects, like on the headlights, on that patrol light on top of the cab. Where it falls apart for me has got to be things like the dirt effects. That is just one layer of brown paint that's on there. Come on, you could do some highlighting. Dirt is not just one solid color, okay? And at the same time, look at the grey dry brushing, overbrushing, chipping, whatever you want to call it, all over those black panels. You can tell it's been done with a brush. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just some straight lines there, some thick patches here, some little bits there. You got to think about chipping and battle damage. It's going to be around the wheel wells. It's going to be at the points of impact. It's not just going to be here, there, and everywhere. Like, you've got a wonderful bullet hole on the side of that hood there, and you've done nothing with it. It's just a hole on the side. You could have some chipping around that. You could have an oil streak. You could have anything. You could have a little bit of blood if you wanted to, make us wonder what's really under the hood. But the reality is, it's got to be a bit more planned. Like, you've got the beautiful original source lighting, but then you look at the red jerry can on the side, which, okay, it's a 40k bit. You've scraped off the Imperial Guard logo, but it's just one layer of red and a wash and some metal and black, and that's it. There's nothing else there. And there's nothing wrong with using 40k parts, right? Like, I can see them a mile away, I recognize them. That's fine. It's just making them fit into the world a bit more, rather than just going, oh, car done. It needs a gun, there's a gun. Like, this is the thing. You're at the beginning of your journey, and you've got so much promise. Like, I love all the extra little fiddly details and bits you've added, like that custom exhaust work, like the mud around the wheel wells, and what it could almost be a suggestion of rust in those deeper scratches. It's just making it a little bit more coherent and bringing these little things together. But what a fantastic first entry! And mate, just keep coming back for more, because I want to see what else you've got in store for us, my friend. Oh yes. But enough talking about newcomers to the competition, because it's time to look at some of the old guard. That's right, some of the people who've been entering this competition since day one. That's right, I'm talking about, of course, your friend and mine, Richard Hubbard's entry for this month. Oh yes. And as you can see in the video uploaded to his own YouTube channel, I might add, check it out, the Kingman Highborn YouTube channel. Oh yes. Richard has done an absolutely fantastic job with taking this quintessential, absolute beast of an SUV and turning it into an all-terrain monster. I mean, I love the mix of monster truck tyres. I love the fact that it's not just the same four tyres, like they're actually from two different kits, and that gives it that elevated back end that is so menacing. The tank turret is oh man, it gives me questions for the pure sake of, on the one hand, I do like that kind of, turret based. This is the heavily armored military police of the future, break the law and end up dead. It's a real hard line on crime. But at the same time, that scale is a bit whack. Like, it's a bit small, and considering how heavy tank turrets are, that back end would just collapse through the ground, wouldn't it? Now, I know we don't tend to go too far into the realms of realism with Gaslands. It's just one of those, trying to reconcile these two different elements. The machine gun on the side of the engine is just an enormous rectangle, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of them. I don't think they're that in keeping with the look of the rest of the vehicle. Maybe something a little bit more streamlined. And all the little figures, again, it's just that fine detail work with the painting. I mean, you still do that one layer wash and done, where really, if you're going to get the most out of these, you need to be layering up the colours. You need to be separating out the sections with black pin washes. You can't just do one layer and call it a day. My advice, if you want to put people on your build, paint them separately, glue them in afterwards. And I know that's really hard on these enclosed builds, but that's part of the challenge, my friend. But that said, mate, what a fantastic build. Absolutely love it, Richard. Speaking of returning fan favourites, how can I not talk about my boy, Kilgore MJ, and his entry this month? Oh yes. Or is it Mike Kilgore? Mate, what do you prefer? Be honest with me, alright? You submit under one name, but you got a different name on Facebook. Look, who am I to pick, right? You're talking to a guy called JH Miniatures, alright? But it is so good to see you back in this competition, my friend. Oh yes, what can I say? You, as always, bring a smile to my face whenever I see your entries. The the white paint is very thick, but also sort of lacks a lot of shading and detail. Those county police sort of symbols, the markings on the side of the doors, no, you need to thin that down or use a decal or something, because what is this, a palm tree? What is this starburst that I'm looking at on both sides? I'm dying here looking at those shields. Don't feel you can do it with a paintbrush, do it with a pen. That's okay. You don't have to freehand everything with a paintbrush. I will say the dioramic base is a bit kind of like a snapped off bit of cardboard. It's a bit irregular. I do appreciate the fact you've kept it minimal, because the focus is on the car, not on the base. But then the car itself, it's a wonderful hodgepodge mishmash, isn't it? You've got this enormous minigun backed up by this absolute classic American hot rod car. But then what is this enormous coffin-sized jet engine coming out of the back of it? It raises so many questions. It's one of those Kilgore. I'm so glad to see you in the competition, but this could have done with a bit more time in the oven. Okay, my friend? Spend a bit more time with the painting. And as always, boys and girls, paint the sand on your builds. Stop sprinkling sand directly on. If you're going to use these natural materials, that's fine, but you need to paint it. You can't just sprinkle it on and call it a day. That's not how weathering works. Oh, bless. But no, fantastic work, Kilgore, and it is so nice to see you back in the fight, my friend. But if we are talking about hover cars, how can I not talk about returning heavyweight champion from 2021? That's right, Maciej Medtrak, and his entry for this month. Now, Maciej, my boy, you've had a couple of false starts this year, haven't you? The most recent of which, the ramshackle month in June last month, you just couldn't get past the finishing line. This beautiful build, detailed up to the nines with rocket pods and those wonderful heavy machine guns in the bits from all over the place, from zip ties to the plastic protectors on toothbrushes, you name it. But it's about time management and finishing the build and painting it, because if you do not pass that finishing line, we cannot judge your entry. So what can I say? It is so good to actually see you finish this month and finish in style. My goodness. Behave yourself, my friend. Look at this monstrosity. I love the weathering, and this is what I'm talking about, the black pin lining around those body panels, so you can see that clear delineation from where one panel starts and the other one ends. Mate, those rockets, the yellow and black hazard markings. I mean, the base is simple enough. It's like a cyberpunk dark future. This hovercar is really high in the sky, and those are actually buildings that are really low to the ground. But this isn't about the bases, this is about the cars, and mate, you have just gone all out this month, and I love to see it. I love all the little extra fiddly bits like the decals, which admittedly, I can identify as 40 CAD tower parts, but I'm not gonna hold that against you, my goodness. But at the same time, we have to talk about some of the things that just jump out and strangle you with this build. Like, I don't get the little black pips on those headlights. Is it to make them look like eyes? But then why do your headlights have eyes? I get that you get the whole, like, the radiator can look like a smiling mouth, but we're making war machines here. We're not making goofy, funny looking cars. That should be something that happens naturally. But then you look at some of the body panel work, and the blue is just to die for. The white can seem a bit muddied or a bit thick in areas, but just mate, it's like a breath of fresh air, ain't it? And those donuts on the back seat, my goodness. So this has a fully detailed interior as well. That's just hinted at through the windscreens. Oh, buddy. What do you do to me? It is so good to see you back in the fight, my friend. Oh, yes. But then after Maciej, we have, of course, another newcomer to the competition. That's right. And again, addendum, my apologies for mispronouncing your name. That's right. Pierre-Louis Adair's entry for this month. Oh, yes. And what can I say, mate? Just straight off the bat, that lettering, that calligraphy work you've done, that is 10 out of 10. Like, I love, it's so legible, it's so easy to read, and it immediately understand what's going on here. And it's just a case of extending that to the rest of the body of this beast, because the conversion work is great. The metal work, I feel, is where this starts to fall down, because it's all one base tone of silver. There's no gold, there's no copper or bronze or rust or anything. It's just flat hard metal, and that's it. When the reality is, look at any car engine outside, look at any hot rod or police interceptor in real life. They're a whole mishmash of different parts and colours. And I'll say, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's that clear delineation between body panels, and you get that in the doors and the hood, but it's like the wheel arches. It's like you can see the separation around the A posts around the front windscreen, but it's not there because you've just painted straight over it. But this is where, as the creator, you can inject that back in. Just give me one body panel that's a different color. It's all I'm asking, boys and girls. Just give me a rear wheel arch that's in like a brown or a green or something that says it's from a different vehicle, and I'll be happy. But mate, absolutely rock solid stuff to track and kill. We've had a lot of that this month. We've had a lot of these really mean sort of sounding, because it's a play on the whole protect and serve, isn't it? To track and kill, to punish and enslave, to loot and murder. It's really brutal. I love it. Fantastic stuff, Pierre. And after Pierre, we have, of course, Thomas Till's entry for this month. Oh, yes. And Thomas, what can I say, with those absolutely eye-catching and beautiful transitions on the windscreens. How can I not highlight this? Because look how eye-catching they are. Look how they just radiate off of that cab. Look how they radiate off of the body of this beast. They're so good. But this is where, on further analysis, things start to fall apart. Because once you get past how beautiful that fade is, and you look at the rest of the build, this is where things start to come apart at the seams a little bit. Because although the rust work and the dust and the pigment powders and all that stuff you've used shines really well, the actual body of this thing just suddenly gets drowned in this filth, and it becomes really hard to separate out the body panels. It becomes really hard to separate out what is the engine, what is the radiator, what is the ram, what is the heavy machine guns. And then you start seeing all the little things that you missed during the building process, like taking off that mold line from the top lights and sirens. Like, my goodness, my friend, that mold line just screams out at you. So you come in, you look at the build, you go, wow, that is a beautiful, beautiful windscreen setup. How can I not admire that? And then it's immediately dashed against the rocks, looking at that mold line. It's like, oh, mate, how did you miss that? How did you put this together and not sit, like, just a craft knife and a file, and it's gone, and you don't have to worry about it. I mean, this is the thing, Tom. I'm picking away at hairs here, because this is an absolutely fantastic build. It's just elevating it to the next level. Like the rust around the wheel arches, I want to eat that rust. It looks so good. It looks, oh mate, just scrape that off onto a plate. Oh my goodness. But like the red on the engine, like, I want to see that pop more. Like, you've got the brightness on the lights. Why not get that on the engine? And then, the front ram's got the kind of half attempted hazard stripes. You're either doing hazard stripes or you're not. There's no middle ground, my friend. You gotta commit to that. I'm not going to accept a watered down yellow wash in stripy lines and say, oh yeah, those are hazard stripes, because they're not. All right, but mate, absolutely fantastic stuff. Love it. But mate, honestly, keep coming back for more, because this is like, you just continue to push the envelope for yourself. You just continue to raise that bar, and I'm so happy to see it. And now let's look at something a little bit different, my friends. That's right. I want to look at Clint Agius's entry. Agius? Agius. I'm never going to pronounce it right, Clint. I do apologise. But look at this wonderful police interceptor, a undercover interceptor theme build, I might add. And this is something a lot of you, I imagine, weren't expecting to see coming out of Police Interceptor month, because I think a lot of us, yeah, we do fall into that stereotype of police interceptor. Right, so it's going to be a black and white American themed car, or it's going to be like a fluorescent green and blue European themed car, and that's kind of it, right? The reality is, you do get undercover police cars, you do get undercover interceptors, you do get these high-end sports cars that run dual purpose on the highways. They're not just there to look flash and look good, they're also there to catch baddies. And that, I love all the little things in this that just give that suggestion of a sort of a ready-to-go, pop-out war machine. Like, I really get the feeling that flap on the front hood just lifts up and those twin machine guns just pop out and come forwards. That might not be the mechanical engineering of it, but I like to imagine it. It's got that sense to it, if you know what I mean. Same as the rocket pods at the back. Like, I can see them sort of collapsing in on themselves and then fitting down like a SAM site, just pop up when ready to launch a couple of rockets into the air. The spoiler at the back really gives it that kind of menacing feel, doesn't it? It really, really widens that profile and gives it that sort of arrowhead look. The little side blades either side of the doors, I think, yeah, just adds to that. So this is a real coming to get you sort of aggressive build. Where it falls down, however, like I love the weathering, dirty, oily effects under the windscreen shields right on either side. But the green in other places does not need to be that murky. You can have some clean, flat panels as well, you know? Like around the headlights, around the front end, around the back end. You know, places where, the rain isn't going to be catching this from every single angle and rusting and damaging every single angle. Okay? But mate, what a creative take on this month. It was a real, this was a real swing for the fences build, weren't it? Most people wouldn't have gone for this, but you're that risk taker, my friend Clint, and it is so good to see. So, welcome to the Wasteland, my friend. I look forward to what else you come up with for the rest of this year. Oh yes, and finally, my brothers, that's right. Finally, I want to talk about Travis Usner's build for this month, which I think is one a lot of us probably slept on and skipped over, thinking, well, it's a police interceptor theme build and you've made a Mad Maxine ghost car. Why have you done this, Travis? Well, the reality is it's not a ghost car, is it? This is Judge Dredd, this is Judge Death, and it's the merging of the two into an interceptor that's coming to get you. I get the reference, I get what you're going for, my friend, and even if it's only one person in the wacky wasteland of the world that sees this and understands it, that's good enough, my friend. Oh yes, because this is like that, this is the disservice people do. Look at that beautiful chipping work. Look at how scraped and scratched and worn out that paint is on the Judge Dredd side. Like, it really looks like you've taken a file to it and just worn the paint down. Hey, you may have done, for all I know. But, like, you've got the whole transition there between Dread and Death. You've got the working front headlights, but then you've got fake siren lights on top of the cab, so I'm a bit kind of on the fence about that. But this is, this is a rock solid build. It's just, if you were going to do the ghost look, you'd probably have been safer doing it in October. So it's one of them. But mate, it is a good build. I do enjoy it. I get it. I thoroughly get it, my friend. So as always, Travis, fantastic work, and I do look forward to seeing what you come up with in August's Car of the Month competition. And just before we bring this competition to a close, my brothers, I just want to take a moment to have a look at one or two of the boys and girls from 2019. Oh, yes, you think that just because it's in the past you can escape my criticism and judgment? No, my friend, there is no escape from the long arm of the law, not even in the past. So I just want to take a moment to have a look at Owen Hughes' entry from 2019 and his absolutely just jaw-dropping Lamborghini build police interceptor. Oh yes. And this is the thing. When this month's theme came up and we had a look back through our incredible catalogue of past entrants, this was the one that I saw and I was like, right, if our boys 5 years later can't do this or can't reach this level, then what are we doing? What are we doing as a community? Because this is rock solid work, Owen. And I appreciate it's been a while since you looked at the Wasteland, but come on back, my brother, because we are waiting for you. My goodness. Like, the extra bodywork here in Plasticard is just to die for. The little decals, the little extra details, mate. And the fact on top of all of that, you've stuck in a wonderful little system to have flashing lights. And you even made a little police bike interceptor as well, a little friend for him. Like, my goodness. Love it. Absolutely love it. A real dark future cyberpunk police interceptor build. And honestly, we need more like this because it is so, so good. And it goes to show that, before 3D printers, before all the tools that we take for granted today, we were still capable of incredible things. So the Wasteland is waiting for your return. Oh, yes. But I also want to take a moment to have a look at the work of Tobias Hutton from 2019, because mate, this is an absolutely inspired build, isn't it? I mean, I get that it's a movie reference. I get that the kind of the airbrushed hazard stripes on the front, that's a thing that we all know where that comes from. But mate, turning a limousine into a police interceptor, what what a heavy duty vehicle. I think concept wise, with a fuel tank like that on the back, the guy on the top, instead of a heavy machine gun, mate, how is he not wielding a flamethrower as a turret weapon? Like that would just be mwah, just absolute perfection. But honestly, like this is Tobias. Yes, my mate, this is good stuff. And I want to see you take part again. Like this is the thing. It's been a while since we've had some solid Tobias Hutton builds. Where are you, my friend? Come back to us. We enjoyed you last year. You can come back anytime you like. But no, honestly, this is the level that we've come to expect from you, and you can see that greatness even 5 years ago. Like honestly, fantastic work, Tobias. Fantastic stuff. And I want to point out to all the boys and girls at home, look at the level of battle damage. Look at the scratches and the chipping and the cut marks in this. You don't see that anymore, and I don't know why. Like what happened to really scratching up and knackering the base vehicles? Because we can all do it. We've all got saws and files and knives and things. So let's see a bit more of that. But enough beating around the bush, my brothers, because this video has gone on far too long. That's right, it is time! It is time to announce the winners of this month's Car of the Month competition. So, without any further ado, start the drum roll, my brothers, because the winner of Gaslands UK's Car of the Month competition for July 2023 is Maciej Metrak! Yes, welcome back, my brother. Congratulations on a blazing victory. I know it has been so long and you've come so close to the mark time after time, but you are finally here and it is so good to see you again. I mean, who among you can stand and say, look at the state of this build, I wouldn't have picked that build, because it is so finely tuned. Oh my goodness, what a Blade Runner inspired build, what a cyberpunk infused build. And it's not just the paint job or the conversion work or the use of bits that we all have access to. Like you could see some Space Marine power packs featured in the build there. Like who doesn't have a Space Marine in their collection? No, it's the fact that you've done all of this beautiful work. You've achieved this amazing build with detail and just absolute finesse, my friend. Like this is the gold standard, isn't it, boys and girls? You even went so far as to and you can't even see this when the model's finished. Like this is completely obscured, but you even modeled the mesh between the prisoners in the back seat and the driver and the police passengers up front, right? He's got that massive armor-piercing rifle on the seat next to him, a beautiful Martian-looking helmet, and just like this whole thing. It's so good. It's so nicely done. It is such a simple and clean and effective build. Like this was an absolute home run with the judges. And honestly, mate, it takes your breath away, don't it? What a fantastic build, match. And I know you've been trying for so long to get back into the competition and just couldn't hit the deadline. Like back even August of last year, and I was like, come on, my brother, you've got to finish. Come on, my brothers. And it just, it's so good to see you here. So a well-deserved victory. Enjoy the Metal Highway Patrol drivers and the implements of Carnage sprue that is on its way to you, my friend. And then in second place we have, as chosen by the sponsor, Nick Eyre of North Star Military Figures this month. That's right. And we've not talked about him yet. So in second place we have Steve Chan's entry. Oh yes, Steve, my boy. Let's go Team Steve. What a solid build. What an apocalypse build. I mean, is there any doubt that this thing lives in the Wasteland? My goodness, look at the modifications to the engine. Like at some point you have to look at something and go, I don't think that's all 3D printed. I think some of this is scratch built. I think some of this is that wonderful amalgam of things done by hand and things designed on a computer by the gods. Like It's simple and it's effective, and you've got the delineation between the body panels, which you know I love. The massive sort of turret, computer-controlled machine gun in the back works so nicely, but it just comes straight off the pages of Dark Future, doesn't it? It just comes straight. This is a real death race build when you look at it at its heart. And can we all take a moment to appreciate turning police sirens into police lights? I think that's a great technique. Oh man, how have none of us thought to do that? Because that works really well, and it uses up. How many times do you put sirens on a build? Honestly, like it's only ever going to be once or twice. So what a great use of that bit, mate. Fantastic stuff. Enjoy the implements of Carnage 2 Sprue and the metal highway patrol drivers that are on their way to you, Steve. Oh yes. So, that is all for this month, my brothers. I know it has been a long time coming, but the end of August is finally upon us. You can just see it now on the glowing horizon. The absolute atomic bombshell of a month that is coming. And as we all know, yours truthfully is taking part, as well as another dastardly member of the admin team who's brave enough to take me on. Oh yes. So what can I say? Tune in to August's Car of the Month video. As always, a massive thank you to the sponsor of this fine competition of ours, and a massive thank you to all of the members of the admin team that go into the making of, production, maintenance of the group, and, of course, keeping this world of ours spinning. So a massive thank you to Matt Reeve, Colin Harvard, David Bousset, and Darren Phillips, as well as myself, James Hall of JH Pictures. Thank you all for watching, my brothers, and I will see you all in August's Car of the Month competition. Thank you, and